Our project was on anonymity. We asked 5 questions that one might not want to answer in front of the class.
These 5 questions were: have you ever cheated on a test? Have you ever stolen something? On the issue of abortion, are you pro-life or pro-choice? Do you believe in gay marriage? And have you ever been clinically depressed?
We had 50 people from Trumbull High take the survey without putting their names on them, and then we had 50 more people take the survey while putting their name on them. And then we explained to them that we would be the only 2 people that would see the surveys.
Because our study focused on the anonymity of our survey takers, we were unfortunately unable to have anybody come in to take the survey on camera. So we asked one of our surveyors to answer some questions about how she felt while taking the survey. She didn't want her name to be given to us, so she's just going to be anonymous.
The second question we asked her was, do you ever feel like you had to change your answers because you were afraid to be judged by us?
Her answer was, yes, I did. I didn't answer some of the questions honestly because I was afraid of being judged. Even though I knew that it was only 2 people who were going to be seeing the survey, I still felt as if my answers were going to be judged if I answered honestly in the way I truly felt.
The final question we asked her was, why did you feel like you had to change your answers?
Her answer was, I felt that if I didn't answer the socially acceptable way, I would be judged by the 2 people reading the survey. Even though my answer wasn't going to be released to anyone, I still feared being judged for my answers.
When comparing the results from the anonymous survey versus the answers from the public survey, there was a really big difference between the 2. For example, when people answered the question, do you believe gay marriage should be legal, the percentage of people who answered yes to the question was lower on the anonymous survey than the other.
This shows that people felt the need to answer the question dishonestly on the public survey for fear of being judged by the 2 of us. Our hypothesis was, if people are allowed to answer questions anonymously, they are more likely to tell the truth than if they are forced to answer the question publicly.
When I went around interviewing a few people, when I asked them to put their name on the survey, they were pretty skeptical at first, only because they weren't sure if any teacher would actually get to see them and they'd get in trouble for their answers.
This kind of shows that if they had been allowed to answer the questions anonymously, chances are they would have answered more honestly than on the public survey because they were afraid of being judged by the people reading the surveys. A big part of this survey, when actually asking the people the questions, was making sure that we got an accurate sample of the population. We wanted to make sure that we didn't just interview one gender, one race, or one grade. We got a mix of grades, all the way from freshmen up to seniors. We interviewed both genders, and we also interviewed people of different races, so that it was an accurate representation of the Trumbull High School population. When we were originally thinking of what project to do, and we thought of the idea of anonymity, we went online and we researched what kind of other psychological experiments or psychological studies were done on anonymity, and we found that there really weren't any studies that were like the one that we were going to do. Most of the studies were about keeping the identity of participants of other surveys anonymous and how important that is to the survey-taking process. But none of them actually examined how anonymity affects the honesty of the surveyor's answers.
A few questions we actually had to take off of our survey because we actually thought they ended up being a little too personal to say. One of them was, have you ever self-harmed, and have you ever taken any drugs? So we had to modify them so they didn't sound too personal or offend anyone.
Also, a big reason for why we changed the question, have you ever done any drugs, is because a lot of kids, I believe, would feel uneasy answering that question because of the legal factors, where if a teacher found any of these surveys with the names on them, they could be possibly persecuted or brought to the school guidance department, along with the one about self-harming, because it is a teacher's duty to report any incidents of self-harm to a guidance counselor or school psychologist.
So that was like a major thing that we had to establish when we were doing the experiment too.
Yeah, we needed to make sure that the questions were personal enough where they would come with some kind of judgment, but not so personal that students would be too afraid to answer them honestly.
And the possibility of them getting in trouble for that.
The possibility of them getting in trouble was a big factor in our questions. Three, 2, 1.
I told you this is gonna be bad. I'm sorry, I'm trying my best, but it's not working. I don't like this.
These questions were, have you ever cheated on a test? Have you ever stolen something? What is wrong with you?
I tried my best. You must hate me right now.